Funding for Off 90 is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.
Cruising your way on this episode of Off 90. We tour a successful homegrown business in Stewartville. We meet a man who makes his own fishing lures in Austin. We take a look at an art exhibit traveling around the area to libraries. And we meet a comic book writer from Austin. It's all just ahead, Off 90. Hi, I'm Barbara Keith. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Off 90. Back in the 1960s, Stewartville was home to a tiny drive-in called the Fish House. The owner, named Jimmy, found that he had a flair for making salad dressings. Today, that popular restaurant has grown into Jimmy's Salad Dressings, a company that is still in the same family. Some of the company's 18 employees have worked at Jimmy's for decades.
When I tell people I make salad dressing, and they go, really, salad dressing? And oh, what kind? And well, it's called Jimmy's. And they go, I've had Jimmy's. I like Jimmy's. That's very gratifying for me. I'm Tom Slyden with Jimmy's Salad Dressings. My dad actually grew up in Stewartville and spent his whole life here. My mom came as a young adult and actually worked for her aunt, who at that time was the owner of the Fish House restaurant. And my dad was a butcher and opened up one of the first drive-ins back in the late 50s, and it was called Jim's Drive-In. It was a very small, I think he told me it was a 12 by 12 building. So that's really how he got started working on recipes of his own and discovered that he had a flair for it. When he sold the drive-in and was approached about buying the Fish House and decided that that was the direction they wanted to go, he became more and more creative in the kitchen and found that he was good at it. And so he started tinkering around with recipes for salad dressings and different sauces and batters. The first salad dressing that he came up with on his own was a Thousand Island dressing, which everybody knows Thousand Island dressing, but he put his spin on it. Kind of funny when he tells me his story. It was a late night and had a couple of his buddies over, and they were sitting around probably having some adult beverages. And once they came up with this recipe, he was just experimenting, and our day cook, who he greatly appreciated, her name was Cora Kidd, and she was wonderful. Everything that Cora made was outstanding. We lived in an apartment at the time above the restaurant, and he came down and the next morning, and she said, did you write that recipe down for that salad dressing you made last night? And he said, well, yeah, actually it's right here. She goes, don't change a thing. And that's how the Thousand Island dressing was created. After a handful of years going by there and people telling him, this is really, really good, we'd love to take some home, he had the aha moment and decided that what if we put it in jars and just sold it at the front counter. Based on the success of the Thousand Island, he started to graduate a little more and tinker some more. So he came up with 4 core dressings. He had a Thousand Island, a blue cheese, a French dressing, and then of course, being that it was the Fish House, he had a tartar sauce. He started throwing a few cases in the back of the station wagon and venturing out to grocery stores in the area. And that's really essentially how Fish House dressing was born. In the late 80s, early 90s, at the time I was running a tavern, and I always knew, had been told by people since I was a young child really, that I was always proud of my dad's salad dressings, and people were always telling me how good they were. So I started asking questions, going out and talking to grocery stores, to the produce guys, and saying, you know, what direction do you feel the market is going? What does the consumer want? And so we came back, and at this point, my dad was still running the kitchen at the fish house, and I would say to him, you know, what if we tried a dill dip? What if we tried a coleslaw dressing? What if we tried this? He would shake his head, and it would be resistance on his part. 2 weeks later, he would come up and put something down and say, what do you think of this? And 9 times out of 10, I would try it, and I'd go, did you write it down? With that core of 4, it wasn't long, and up till today, that we have over 20 different varieties. My dad is 86 years old and still is out here almost every day at 6 a.m. My oldest son is just graduating from college in the near future, and he has expressed an interest to me about the family business. We, to this day, still have not changed the recipes at all. These are the same recipes that was fish house dressing back in the 60s. We buy this from the same vendors. We do everything by hand, and that's how we maintain the integrity and the quality that Jimmy's is known for. The common question I get from people is, I looked for your salad dressing, I couldn't find it. And I go, that's because you were looking for it next to the Kraft and the Paul Newman and the 7 C's and the grocery outlet. Yeah, and I have to tell them, it's refrigerated. We don't put preservatives in there to make it shelf stable. So our products are marketed in the produce department, and that's where you're going to find them. In the refrigerated section, I always tell them, buy the fresh stuff. That's where you're going to find Jimmy's. We try to buy local whenever possible, and you know, some of the products that we buy are fresh. Fresh onions, fresh garlic, believe it or not, potatoes, parsley, and these are things that we have to buy, that they have to be bought fresh. It's amazing to me that people that come in and say, I could save time, we could be more efficient by using freeze-dried this and freeze-dried that, and I just say, it won't be the same. You know, thank you, but no thank you. The next things down the road for Jimmy's is we want to be able to offer healthier products. And not that our products aren't healthy in moderation, but we're looking at the younger demographic. With 2 young adult sons now, I'm becoming more and more aware of what younger people want. So we're looking at that with a lot of excitement. It's not what most people would think. If you look at us on the shelf, the analogy I always use is, the good news is we look like the big guys. The bad news is we look like the big guys. So our packaging doesn't necessarily tell the story of who we are. This is a small Minnesota family-run company, and it's like a family here. The crew that bottles and works here in production every day is a team of 12 people. We make one product each day by the same people. Most of the people have been with us for 20 years or more, and I think the newest one was 12 years ago. We really started out with a nucleus of 3 or 4 people, and we've grown to 18 people now. We had a series of ads that we used to run TV commercials years ago with 2 elderly grandmas, and they would hand label the jars. And people would say, where did you find those actresses? And I'd say, that's the real deal. You could stop by any time.
Travis Staten loves to fish. His dad taught him how to fish, and now he's teaching his children to do the same. He enjoys the trout streams of southeastern Minnesota, but can find great relaxation just casting a line in the waters near his Austin home. His secret weapons are the lures he creates in his home workshop. Every intricate step is done by hand. Join us as we learn what it takes to create an irresistible temptation for local fish.
My name is Travis Staten. I own Home of the Brave Outdoors in Austin, Minnesota, and I hand make fishing lures. Let's see what we can catch today. My dad and I used to fish small creeks out in the country. In fact, I remember fishing down the road from our old country home off the bridge, just catching suckers, chubs. Mainly on those kind of fishing trips, we were fishing for trout over east by Spring Valley or Stewartville State Park, and an all-day trip, and we'd bring back our limit for the day, for the grill, you know. Usually when I'm trout fishing, I'm looking for brown or rainbow trout, and sometimes I'll come across a brook trout, which is native to the streams near Lanesboro, Preston, Spring Valley area. How often do I get to go fishing? Well, it's not often enough. Definitely not as much as I used to. It's relaxing. It's you know, catch and release, a lot of it. I use a ultralight 7-foot rod with 6-pound monofilament. A good reel usually helps, along with the line, of course. Other things to have on hand are a knife to cut the line, a stringer, of course, to bring home fish. By 2009, I had decided that I would actually try to make my own fishing rods, but I had changed my mind and got into fishing lures instead. Number one, because fishing lures were getting expensive to buy because I kept losing them. And it just kind of took off from there. I get inspiration for my lures from looking at other lures. Looking at the actual fish patterns of the fish themselves, especially brown trout. They have a brown back with a yellow belly, red and black spots down the middle. I've actually replicated a pattern for that on my lures, on some of them. Inventing lures is very hit and miss, kind of pass and fail, basically. You know, I'll take one base model of a lure, a spinning lure, and if that didn't work, I'll add a dressed hook to it, which entails either feathers or fur wrapped around the hook, or I'll put bright colors on the lure blade. And that usually helps attract fish. I figured out I had a good design when I tested them on trout themselves, that almost every other cast I had a fish on the line. Does the leaf count? The movement of the lure helps attract fish by vibration, flash. If you have shiny pieces on the lure, it creates a flash, especially with overhead sun, and if the water's clear. The Dragonfly lure is actually my #1 seller. I've sold this particular lure from Alaska to Texas, California to as far as Maine. It's a double-bladed spinning lure, mainly about 3 to 4 inches long. Comes with treble hook. Sometimes I dress the treble hook. I'll put dots or lines with dots on the blades, and what's called an eye bead also. It's a bead with eyes on it for the head. My workshop is down in my basement. It's a smaller area. Yeah, it's just basically everything I need down there to help me make lures. Basically, you start out with a wire shaft. That's your backbone of the lure. And what I'll do is I'll cut that off the roll and I'll put an eye in there. Snip off the excess, and then I'll start with my front bead. And say we're doing a dragonfly, so I'll put the eye bead on there. And then I'll put 2 beads on after that to help keep that eye bead from, I guess, getting tangled up in the blades. And put the blades on after the beads. We'll put the lure body on next, and then the treble hook, and then we'll tie off we'll make another eye at the treble hook, snip that off, and it's good to go. What it means to be a fisherman is you get to get away from home. You get to get out and enjoy nature. Fish by yourself, fish with your friends, your family. It's just a good time out in the open air.
Easel is a traveling art exhibit that has been crisscrossing the region with stops in libraries, schools, and an art gallery. Easel stands for Experience Art in Southeastern Libraries. It includes art by area artists chosen by the Selco Library Cooperative. Judges ranked each submission based on the artist's depiction of the theme as it related to books, letters, authors, reading, or the library.
Easel has inspired a lot of our local teenagers, a lot of our homeschooled kids, to really think about art as a career. I'm Shannon Lasowski. I'm a library page at the West Concord Public Library. West Concord is a small rural community between Owatonna and Rochester in southeastern Minnesota. Easel is the traveling art exhibit sponsored by Selco that travels throughout the Selco libraries. Selco stands for Southeastern Library Cooperative Association. Selco libraries are throughout southeastern Minnesota, including some of the schools and colleges. Easel nominated several to exhibit them for about 20 to 25 days each time. I think it's interesting all the different mediums they've chosen to use within the guidelines. They have to be a certain size. They all have to feature either the written word or something that ties in with the written word. We've had a lot of people remark on how interesting and how much talent we've had in just our little corner of the known universe. Easel brings the written word out so people are aware that it can be more than just a book. It can also be an art form.
Comic books have come a long way since they were introduced in the 1930s. Beginning as digests of reprinted newspaper funnies, comic books took on a life of their own and are an integral part of our pop culture today. Sean E. Williams is a comic book writer from Austin. We talked to Sean about his interesting and unique career.
I'm Shawnee Williams, and I'm a writer-publisher. Comic books, for me, are like the perfect storytelling medium because it's that perfect combination of visuals plus dialogue plus sound effects that you can't really get anywhere else. With comics, you have to write each page as its own page, whereas in film and television, you have 120 pages for a movie or 50 pages for an hour-long, pilot script. And you have wiggle room around that to, for where act breaks are or where, how the story goes. Whereas with comics, with each page, there's a certain amount of information that you can convey. There's only so many panels that you can cram into each page, and there's only so many word balloons you can put into each panel, and there's only so many words that you can put into each word balloon. And so that puzzle element is something that you have to really get used to and adjust for, and it's something I really enjoy. The favorite thing for me about writing comics is the collaboration, because for me, I like being able to have an idea in my head, get it down on paper, and then send it to someone, and then they create their interpretation of that. A lot of writers I know get hung up on having their exact version conveyed, exactly the way they want it. And for me, if you want to do that, you should be writing prose and not comics, because comics are a collaborative medium. And so there's nothing more exciting than getting an artist's pages back and seeing what they saw in my script for the first time. The first paying comics gig I got was writing the third arc of Fairest, which was a spinoff of Fables. While that was going on, I started my own creator-owned series, Artful Daggers, which I co-created with Adam P. Nave and Andrew Losk, and that's put out through IDW and Monkey Brain Comics. It's digital first through Monkey Brain Comics, and then IDW publishes the trade paperbacks. Those are the cornerstone of my comics career. From there, I wrote a couple issues of The Vampire Diaries for DC Comics, as well as a story in the Dark anthology, which is a horror anthology that was a Kickstarter project. I also wrote an issue of Sensation Comics featuring Wonder Woman. Well, there's benefits to both doing independent comics, independent creator-owned comics, and working for any of the main large publishers who are doing licensed work. The benefits to doing like a superhero book, for instance, is that they already have core fandoms that will learn who you are and possibly follow you over to your own creator-owned series at other publishers. The nice thing about doing the creator-owned books is that you can kind of solidify your voice as a storyteller that you can't do when you're writing a Batman book that, is having crossover events going on with other, superhero books, that kind of thing. Comiker is a comics publishing company. Right now, we are digital first because the cost of publishing digitally is nominal compared to print. The turnaround time on digital is a lot lower as well compared to print. So right now, we are publishing comics as webcomics, collected as digital issues through Comixology and Drive-Thru Comics, which are two different distribution methods for digital comics. We're also launching our own app that's going to have all the series optimized for mobile reading on your phone or tablet. I think interest in comics is definitely growing. And again, a big part of that is the fact that anyone can read comics now on their tablet. And so digital is allowing people to read comics who weren't able to read them before. So I think the audience is definitely growing in that sense, and I can't see it slowing down anytime in the near future. You know, it's been really encouraging, just the fact that, you know, something I wrote might be somebody's favorite version of a certain character, or, you know, their favorite story from a certain series. You know, it's kind of mind-blowing that anyone even reads stuff that I write, and the fact that it might be somebody's favorite is just totally humbling.
That's all for this episode. Please help Off 90 meet its financial obligations by becoming a member of KSMQ Public Television. Give us a call at 507-481-2095 or 1-800-658-2539, or sign up online at ksmq.org. Thanks for watching. Join us next time, Off 90.
Funding for Off 90 is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.